Hello everybody, so welcome back to the channel, welcome to the start of a brand new series on my YouTube channel as well, the subject of which is behind me. That is an Alfa Romeo 147 GTA that I'm going to be restoring with my dad over the next few months. Now, those of you who are not new to the channel might be looking at this and thinking to yourself, hang on a minute Tom, didn't you buy a Jag like a couple of years ago and try to restore that and haven't done anything with it? Well, the answer to that is as follows. It's right behind me. It still exists, it's still a project, it's still something that I'm going to be doing with my dad over the next couple of years, however, because the Jag is a bit more of a nut and bolt restoration, whereas this Alfa Romeo 147 is a little bit easier to do because it requires a little bit less work. Anyway, let's take you through the car now, show you a little bit about it, then we're going to get it onto the ramp, have a little look through it, we're going to work out what needs doing to the car, get a timeline, get an idea of how much we're going to be spending, and see how much work the old man has got to do. So here we are then in Big Neil's big workshop. This is where he's going to be operating Brooks Restorations, his car restoration business, and this is going to be his first project, so let's hope it's not too difficult. As you can see behind me, he's just getting the car on the ramp now and having a look underneath it. So let's follow him, shall we, and see what's wrong with this Alfa Romeo underneath as we have a look at it for the first time.
I think those oil cooler parts have been upgraded already, and the oil cooler.
Well, that's a result. Bit of classic Alfa rust, is that?
Bit flaky stuff, yeah.
I've seen worse though.
Look at the screwdriver stroke. Who's a lucky boy?
I've seen worse. For a UK original car, that's not bad going, is it?
That's just where the underside lifts, actually, all solid.
So it looks a lot worse on the floor than it is then.
You can actually see it's all just surface corrosion. See how the underseal water gets under.
Yeah.
And just flakes it off. Structurally looking good.
That's a win. And a rarity for an Alfa.
A little hole by a drain. There's a drain hole there, and it's just the drain hole's just increased. So I want a little repair there. Ah, very good. Even the sills aren't too bent from
the jacking point.
Jacking them up in the wrong place.
Yeah, I've seen that happen a few times. Rear suspension, what we're thinking on that? Looking okay? Shocks and stuff?
Corroded. See all the corrosion on.
Let's have a little look.
I think you're going to upgrade the anti-roll bars, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to stick some different suspension on it, that's for sure.
It will need completely rebushing. Replace the brake hoses, handbrake cables are rubber's gone.
Right.
So we'll replace those.
Which explains the long travel on the handbrake when I pulled it up, and it.
Yeah, they all need setting up, but the rubber's obviously a bit of a poor fit. Could be a lot better than.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things. So, as you can see on this side, it's got the trim. It's got an auto Strada exhaust on the back, I believe. So it's a twin pipe, whereas normally it was, or a twin exit rather, I should say. Whereas normally it was just a singular exit on the original one, but this has had one that's been uprated. As you can see, the grille was missing on this side, so that is a particularly tricky piece to source by the looks of things. So that's going to be fun. But in terms of the fit, you're not such a fan.
No.
Bit of oil coming through there.
We've got some more oil here from the rocker cover gasket again. It's leaking all the way across.
Nice cobweb in there as well, lovely.
Yeah.
Well, there's no bloody glaring holes in it, which is a good sign.
No, for a UK car, it's looks good. So it's just a case of removing the body kit and doing everything properly. We've got a little hole in the grille.
I think that's the least of the worries at the moment. Headlights, they're going to need restoring, etc. They're all going to need doing. Wheels, grills, all need tarting. Grill, that's not too much of an issue because that's just a standard Alfa one. So there we are then, that's a closer look at the car underneath. That's a good idea of how sound the car is structurally, which is, to be honest, more by luck than judgment. Anyone who knows 147 GTAs will know that the big talking point with these engines is the fact that it's a 3.2 litre V6 and, well, it's a bit of a weapon. So let's take a closer look underneath the bonnet, shall we, and see what sort of condition it's in and what, at least on the surface, before we take the engine out, before we get the car painted, is going to need doing to it and get a better idea of at least mechanically where we're standing with the car, and then we'll have a chat with Big Neil, find out exactly where we're sitting and how much it's going to affect my bank balance. So here we are then, the 3.2 litre V6 engine. As you can see, it's in better days. It's going to need some rechroming on those pipes. Rocker cover's going to need a bit of attention, just on the aesthetic side.
It's quite good, just oil leaks. Both the rocker covers are leaking, that's why we've got oil all over the engine. Actual inner wings all good, no signs of accident damage, nice and straight. A little bit of play in the gear selector cables I noticed, and the linkage, lots of free cobwebs, and even down there in the hidden areas it's all straight, genuine, no hammer marks.
No signs of any accident damage previously, all the...
It's like the original slam panel on it. The original factory stickers.
Top mounts on the suspension look okay, they're not corroded or anything.
I've got some slight corrosion, but that'll all be coming off so we can assess those when it's all apart.
Lovely.
And the brake fluid looks fairly clean, so that's obviously had some attention at some point. Bulkhead all looks good again. That's the engine ECU there, mounted to the engine. I think a lot of people
they mounted to the bulkhead.
Remount them to the bulkhead.
Yeah, because it's vibrations and stuff.
It's not a great idea.
No.
Putting it there.
No, apparently they're a pig if they go wrong as well.
It must stink, this thing, if you drive it a long distance. There's so much oil leaking out of these rocker covers. It's all over the heat shield. It must stink of burning oil.
So after spending a fair amount of time nosying around underneath the car, Dad decided that it would probably be a good idea for us to stick some trade plates on and head down the road just to see if there's anything mechanically that we might have missed or if there's any issues with the gearbox, etc. So with that in mind, he was doing a systems check on the car, checking all the electrical components inside and also topping up the fluids such as the coolant and the washer bottles, etc. However, as you can see, it didn't quite go according to plan when he decided to test that washer bottle. So you now join us in the car. We've got some trade plates on. We're going to take this up the road very quickly just to see what the car runs like in all of its gears, because obviously we're going to have to take the engine out and do a restoration on this, so we don't want to take the engine out and put the car all back together, get it all looking nice, and then find out that obviously the gearbox is completely kaput. So Big Neil is behind the wheel. Let's see what she makes of it.
Taking those springs out.
Yeah, should have done. Whining, is it?
No, the gearbox. It's good.
Feel good on the change?
That synchro's got its levers a bit sloppy.
Yeah. Dogs around here, careful.
Loves the sound of it.
Yeah, it does sound good, doesn't it? Right, so we've just been out in the car then. As you can see, it runs, it drives, it does need a bit of work doing to it though. We've got Big Neil here, obviously. Right, so Dad, you've had a look at the car. I mean, you've looked underneath, you've looked at the aesthetics. Let's start with the underneath of the car. What did you think of it, first of all?
Quite good. Surface corrosion, one small hole in the sill, so I think you got away luckily there. Lucky boy. So yeah, I just need some cleaning and retreatment.
Yep.
And a bit of welding to sort the hole out.
Yep.
Suspension wise, we'll rebush, strip everything, clean it. It's up to you whether you want to replace with coilovers.
Yeah, we're looking at IBATs or Bilstein or something like that.
Yeah, roll bars. We'll have the engine out, obviously do the cam belt, probably clutch, flywheel. Don't think it's got an LSD in it, so again, it's whether you want to upgrade to one of those.
Yeah, one of those Quaifons are about $750, aren't they? So they're not too expensive, and it's probably worthwhile while we're doing it, right?
While you've got it out, yes, it makes sense. Yeah, we'll obviously just reseal the whole of the engine. The engine seems strong, doesn't smoke, knock, looks like it's been well maintained, looks clean internally, so we'll just reseal the whole engine, oil seals, gaskets, etc. to make it leak free and make it look pretty again.
Yeah, and then obviously like the big glaring omission is the aesthetics, you know,
yeah,
the paint job on it. So.
Yeah, the paint's poor all over, been painted most of it at some time in its life. So we're going to be taking all the glass out, bumpers off, possibly wings and doors I expect off, and just addressing all the issues, body kit off, and basically whatever needs doing, we'll do it.
Nice.
So it looks more better than it left the factory, I expect.
Pretty shit hot, hopefully. We gave good money for it, $4,750 was a good price. I mean, you know, imports for these in sort of relatively good condition are going for about 10 grand, something like that. So if you had to throw a ballpark figure into the air of how much you think it will cost to get this looking nice, what would you say?
Well, because you're paying me a pittance, then probably I would say between 5,000 to 6,000 at a ballpark, but providing we don't find any nasties.
Yeah.
So I think your main expenditure is obviously going to be the paintwork and any mechanical bits and pieces you've got to buy.
Yeah.
So it'd just be nice to turn it back into as good as new, if not better.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, it makes sense to, you know, like you said, if we're going to take it all apart to do the respray and stuff like that, take the engine out, it makes sense to do all of those things anyway, and you know, it keeps you busy.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
Exactly. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the first episode of Project Alpha from Big Neil and from myself and from us all here at Brooks Restorations Workshop. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you for part 2 at some point in the near future. Take care.